You have heard about miracles all your life. They were taught to you as interruptions, as exceptions, as extraordinary acts that defy natural laws. You were told they were rare events, reserved for saints, for the chosen ones, for those who deserve divine intervention from above. You were taught that God was there, far away, on an unreachable throne, watching, judging, and once in a while, if you were pure enough, if you prayed hard enough, if you pleaded with the right humility, then maybe, just maybe, He would break the rules of the universe for you. You were told that miracles were proof of His power over you, of His authority, of His capacity to do the impossible while you remain small, dependent, waiting. But what if I told you that all of that was a distortion, that what you were taught was not a lie, but a misinterpretation, that miracles were never interruptions, but reminders, that they didn't come from outside, but from within, that they didn't prove God's power over you, but God's power in you? Breathe for a moment. Let that question breathe with you, because what you're about to remember is not a new doctrine, it's not a new religion, it's not a rebellion against the sacred, it's an awakening to what was always there, hidden in the stories they told you, buried under layers of translation, interpretation, institution, and fear. It's a code, a forgotten language, written in the very structure of the miracles you were taught to worship from a distance. And when you see it, when you really see it, you won't be able to look at God the same way again, nor at yourself, nor at the world, because miracles were not what they told you, and God is not who they told you. Or rather, God is more than what they told you, much more, and so are you. There was a time, centuries ago, when words were power, when writing was privilege, when reading was for the few and interpreting was control. Sacred texts were copied by hand, translated from language to language, from culture to culture, and at each step something was lost, not always from malice, but from limitation. Aramaic doesn't have the same roots as Greek. Greek doesn't breathe the same as Latin. And Latin, when it reached the hands of empires, became a tool of order, of hierarchy, of structure. Words that originally described living, intimate, internal experiences became external doctrines. Teachings that spoke of awakening became rules of obedience. And miracles, those moments of pure connection with the divine, were transformed into spectacles of power, into demonstrations of authority, into proofs of separation between the human and the divine. But something remained, something always remains. In the cracks of translation, in the margins of manuscripts, in the stories that resisted being domesticated, a code remained, not explicitly written, but woven into the patterns, in the repetition, in the structure, in the words that were used again and again, in the gestures that were described with unsettling precision, in the moments that ancient narrators decided to preserve so carefully that even translation couldn't erase them completely. And that code speaks. If you know how to listen, if you stop long enough, if you look not just at what happened, but at how it happened, not just the what, but the where, not just the result but the path, because miracles were never about the result, they were always about the path, and the path was always inward. Think about water turned into wine, the most famous story, the first sign, the first recorded miracle. They told it to you as magic, as divine alchemy, as if someone from outside had changed the molecular nature of water in an instant. But stop, breathe, look deeper. What is water? It's the elemental, the basic, what sustains life, its clarity, its purity, its necessity. It's what you drink to survive. Water has no taste of its own, no color, no form. It adapts, it moves, it fills spaces, it's humble, it's essential. And what is wine? It's transformation, it's fermentation, it's fruit that died to become something more, it's celebration, it's community, it's joy, it's what you drink not to survive but to live. Wine has color, it has body, it has depth, it doesn't adapt, it declares. It's not necessity, it's abundance. So what was being taught? That the elemental can transform into celebration, that survival can become full life, that what seems ordinary contains extraordinary, that transformation doesn't come from outside, but from recognizing what is already present. Because the jars were full of water, the potential was already there. All that was needed was consciousness, intention, the presence that recognized, this can be more. And the one who performed that miracle didn't do it from heaven. He did it at a wedding, in the midst of people, in the moment of human need, not from a throne, but from closeness, not as a demonstration of power over, but as a revelation of power in. Breathe again. Feel how the air enters, how it expands in your chest, how the ordinary act of breathing sustains the extraordinary state of being alive. Are you beginning to see? Or think about the multiplied bread, thousands of people, a boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and suddenly abundance. They taught it to you as creation from nothing, as if matter were spontaneously generated from divine will. But look at the pattern. There was something. There was always something. Small, insufficient according to human calculation, but present. And what happened was not creation, but multiplication. It wasn't magic, but participation. Because the loaves didn't appear in the air, they were distributed from hand to hand. Each person received and passed on, received and shared. And in that act, in that chain of trust and surrender, scarcity became abundance. What code is there? That the little becomes enough when it's shared. That abundance is not quantity, but circulation. That the miracle is not in having more, but in recognizing that what you have, when you give it away, multiplies. Not mathematically, spiritually. Because giving creates space, and space invites fullness. And again, the one who did it, didn't do it alone. He did it with the community, with participation, with the collective presence that decided to trust instead of accumulate. Look at your hands now. Close them. Feel how they hold. Now open them. Feel how they receive. The same hand that closes to protect, must open to multiply. The same heart that guards to feel safe, must release to feel full. Are you beginning to feel? Now go deeper, to the miracles that touch bodies. The blind who see, the deaf who hear, the paralyzed who walk. They were taught to you as supernatural healings, as if an external power had rewritten human biology in an instant. And perhaps it did. But listen to the code. These miracles never happened at a distance. There was always contact, touch, presence. Open your eyes, rise and walk. Your sins are forgiven. Words, declarations, but not commands from above, invitations from within. And notice what was being restored: sight, hearing, movement, the senses, the capacity to perceive, to connect, to participate in the world. Nothing new was being given. What was blocking was being removed. The veil over the eyes, the silence over the ears, the paralysis over the legs, as if the miracle was not to create capacity, but to remember that it was always there, asleep, waiting to be awakened. And who were those who received these miracles? The marginalized, the forgotten, those whom society had decided were broken, incomplete, unworthy. And the message was clear: you are not broken. You never were. What broke you was the belief, the separation, the judgment. But you, in your essence, were always complete. And when the blind person opened their eyes and saw, what did they see first? The face of the one who had reminded them of their completeness, the mirror of the divine in the human, the presence that didn't come to repair, but to recognize. Close your eyes now. Really, close them. In the darkness, what do you see? Residual light, floating shapes, the internal universe that's always there behind your eyelids. Now open them, slowly. Observe how the world enters. Is the world new, or was it always there, waiting for you to decide to see it? Miracles didn't create, they revealed. And in each revelation, the code whispered, what you seek is not absent, it's asleep. And awakening doesn't come from outside. It comes from the internal recognition that you were never separated from the source. Now we come to the heart of the code, to the pattern that runs through every miracle, every teaching, every story that was preserved with such insistence that neither time nor translation could erase it. And it's this: unity, not as a concept, not as an ideal, but as an operative reality. Every miracle undid a separation. Water into wine, the ordinary and the sacred, united. The multiplied bread, the individual and the community, united. The blind who see, the interior and the exterior, united. The sick who heal, the body and the spirit, united. The dead who awaken, life and the eternal, united. And the one who performed these miracles never, not once said, I did it by my power. It was always, your faith has healed you. As you believe, so it will be. The kingdom of God is within you. Always, always, directing attention not outward, toward an external power, but inward toward internal power, toward the spark, toward the seed, toward what was already there waiting to be recognized. Because that's what they hid from you. Not always by conspiracy, but by misunderstanding, by fear, by the human need to control the uncontrollable. They hid from you that God is not separated from you, that divinity is not a hierarchy but a presence, that the sacred is not something you aspire to from below, but something you breathe from within, that you are not the receiver of grace, you are the expression of it. And the miracles were the proofs, the reminders, the moments when separation became so unsustainable that unity burst forth, inevitable, irresistible, obvious. But the institution couldn't accept that, because if you are an expression of the divine, who mediates between you and God? If the kingdom is within you, who has the keys? If transformation doesn't require external ritual but internal recognition, what function does control have? So the code was buried, not erased, because the stories were too powerful, too beloved to be eliminated, but reinterpreted. Miracles became proofs of exclusive divinity instead of reminders of shared divinity. The teachings of you can too became only he can, and the distance was re-established. Heaven above, earth below, God there, you here, holy there, sinner here. Separation, 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 until you forgot that you were once one. But your body remembers, your breath remembers, your heart that beats without you having to ask permission remembers, the cells that regenerate while you sleep remember, The wound that heals without an instruction manual remembers. Everything in you remembers that you are part of an intelligent, creative, self-sufficient, divine system. You are not the receiver of the miracle. You are the place where the miracle happens. Breathe, feel your chest rise, hold the air for 3 seconds. Now release it slowly. As you do, ask yourself, who is breathing? You, or something through you? Are you the one breathing or the space where breathing happens? Both, neither, one. That is the code. Now you need to understand that this is not abstract. It's not floating philosophy. It's living practice. Because if miracles were about unity, then every moment of your life is an opportunity to practice that unity. Every breath, every decision, every encounter. When you look at another person, what do you see? A separate body, an isolated individual, someone different from you. Or if you breathe deeply and look from the center of your chest instead of from the judgment of your mind, do you see another expression of the same source that animates you? Another wave in the same ocean, another ray of the same light. When you judge, you create separation. When you love, you restore unity. And every act of love, however small, is a miracle. Not because it breaks natural laws, but because it restores the fundamental law that everything is connected, that you and I are one, that I and God are one, that God and the world are one. Not pantheism, not dissolution of the individual, but recognition that the individual is real, and unity is real, and there is no contradiction. Like a drop of water, it is drop, and it is ocean simultaneously. Its individuality doesn't deny its belonging. Its belonging doesn't erase its form. You are the drop. You are the ocean. You are. And when you live from that consciousness, when you wake up each morning and breathe from that center, when you look at the world not as something external to you, but as something that extends from you, then miracles stop being rare events and become constant recognitions. Not because the world changes, but because your perception changes. And perception is everything. Water was always wine. It just needed someone to recognize it. Bread was always enough. It just needed someone to share it. You were always complete. You just needed someone to remind you. And now, someone is reminding you. Me. Not because I am special, but because I remember. And whoever remembers has the sacred duty to awaken those who still sleep. Not with violence, not with imposition, but with gentleness, with invitation, with the same presence that miracles always manifested. Closeness, not distance. Participation, not demonstration. Love, not power. So what is the real nature of God that miracles reveal? Not a king, not a judge, not an external being observing from above, but a presence, an intelligence, a creativity, a love so vast that it expresses itself in every form, in every life, in every breath. God is not outside creating the universe like an artist, separated from his work. God is the canvas, the paint, the brush, and the artist, simultaneously. God is the process, and if God is the process, and you are alive, then you are part of that process, not a separate part, not an inferior creation, but a unique, necessary, sacred expression of the divine manifesting itself in time and space. The miracles told you so. They shouted it to you. They whispered it to you in every story. You too, you too, you too. But you were afraid to hear it, because if you hear it, if you really hear it, then the responsibility becomes immense. You can no longer wait for someone else to save you. You can no longer blame fate, the world, God. You can no longer hide behind your smallness. You have to awaken. You have to create. You have to love.
You have to be the miracle you were waiting for. And that's scary. Because it's easier to be small. It's more comfortable to be a receiver. It's less terrifying to wait for orders than to assume your power. But the code won't let you escape. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you remember, you can't completely forget. Something in you has already awakened. Something in you already knows. And that something whispers to you. Rise. Walk. Open your eyes. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are not separated. You are the temple. You are the altar. You are the offering and the offerer. You are. Now we are going to breathe together. Not just read about breathing, but breathe. Because knowledge without experience is concept, and concept without experience is empty. And this code was not designed to be understood, but to be lived. Sit in a comfortable place. If you're standing, that's fine, but find stability. Feel your feet touching the ground, or your body touching the chair. Feel the contact, that point where you and the earth meet, where separation becomes porous. Now close your eyes. Do it slowly, as if you were entering a sacred space, because you are. Your interior is the most sacred space that exists. Breathe normally for 3 breaths. Just observe. Don't change anything. Just notice. Air enters, air leaves, enters, leaves. There is a rhythm. You're not controlling it. It's happening. Like ocean waves. Like your heartbeat. Now on the 4th breath, inhale more deeply. Fill your lungs from below, from the abdomen. Feel how your belly expands first, then your chest, then your clavicle. You are a vessel filling, not with air only, but with life, with presence, with whatever it is that animates all things. Hold that breath for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that space of retention, notice the silence, the still point between entry and exit, between receiving and giving. That is the center. That is you, beneath the noise, beneath thought, beneath everything. Now release, slowly, like a sigh. Let the air leave completely. Empty yourself. Don't be afraid of being empty, because emptiness is not absence, it's potential. It's the space where something new can enter, and as the air leaves, imagine that you're releasing something more. The tension in your shoulders, the worry in your mind, the belief that you are alone, that you are separated, that you are broken. Release it. You don't need it. You never needed it. Breathe like this 3 more times. Inhale deeply. Hold. Exhale completely. With each cycle you feel more. Your body becomes more real, more present. Your mind becomes calmer, clearer, and something in you, something that has no name, begins to remember. Now with your eyes still closed, bring your attention to the center of your chest, not to the physical heart exactly, but to the space behind it, a little deeper, more central. Imagine that there is a light there, small at first, the size of a seed, warm, golden, peaceful. You're not creating it, it was already there. You're just recognizing it. Breathe toward that light. With each inhalation, imagine that the air stokes it, feeds it. With each exhalation, imagine that the light expands a little more. First it fills your chest, then your shoulders, then your abdomen, then your arms, your legs. Slowly, with each breath, the light grows. There is no hurry. Miracles are not in a hurry. Time is an illusion of the separated mind. But here, in this space, in this center, there is no separation. There is only presence. There is only now. And as the light grows, you feel something more. Warmth, not only physical, though you may also feel it physically, but emotional. A feeling of being welcomed, of being loved, of being recognized. As if something immense, something larger than you, but not separated from you, were saying to you, here you are, I've been waiting for you, I've been remembering you, and now you remember me. Breathe with that presence, with that unity. And now slowly, let the light expand beyond your body. First a centimeter, then a meter, then it fills the room where you are. Don't stop the expansion. Let it grow. It fills the building. It fills the city. It expands and expands. And as it does, you feel that you are not losing anything. You are not diluting. On the contrary, you become more yourself, as you become more everything. Because that is the paradox that miracles always taught. The more you surrender, the more you find yourself. The more you expand, the more you center, the more you love, the more you are. Breathe there for a few moments, in that expansion, in that light. And if your mind starts to judge, to say this is just imagination, let it. Don't fight with it. Just return to the center, to the breath, to the light, because maybe it is imagination, or maybe imagination is the way the divine communicates with you, or maybe there is no difference. Maybe everything is real, depending on how much presence you bring. Now slowly, when you're ready, begin to bring your attention back. The light doesn't disappear, it just returns to the center of your chest, to the seed, waiting for you for next time. Move your fingers, your feet, feel your body again, and when it's the right moment, open your eyes. Look at the world. Does it look different? Maybe not dramatically, but maybe a little more alive, a little brighter, as if there were a glow in things that you didn't notice before. That glow was always there. You were just looking in the wrong direction. This is the revealed code. This is the secret that miracles kept for centuries, waiting for someone to read them not with the eyes of the mind, but with the eyes of the heart. Waiting for someone to ask not what did they do, but what did they teach. Waiting for someone to remember that the word miracle comes from the Latin root mirari, which means to wonder. And wonder doesn't come from the impossible, but from seeing the possible that was always there, hidden by familiarity, by habit, by separation. Miracles taught you to wonder again, to see water, and recognize wine, to see scarcity, and practice abundance, to see illness, and remember wholeness, and above all, above absolutely everything, they taught you that God is not a distant king. God is the intimate presence that breathes in you, that beats in you, that creates through you. That God is not a theological concept, but a living experience. That God is not separated from the world, He is immersed in it, expressing Himself in every form, in every life, in every moment of beauty and brokenness, of light and shadow, because shadow is also part of the dance. And you specifically are not an accident in that process. You are not an error that needs to be corrected. You are not a sinner who needs redemption from outside. You are an intentional, necessary, irreplaceable expression of the divine exploring itself. You are God forgetting that He is God so He can remember again. You are the seeker and the sought simultaneously. And that is the real nature of God that miracles reveal. A divinity that doesn't dominate but participates. That doesn't judge from above but experiences from within. That is not complete without you, because you are part of his completeness, not a lesser part, an essential part. The mystics always knew it. That's why they were persecuted, silenced, marginalized, because they said dangerous things like, I and the Father are one, and the kingdom of heaven is within you, and what you do to the least of these you do to me. They said that separation is the only illusion, that everything else is real, and that truth was too powerful, too liberating, too dangerous for structures that depended on separation to maintain control. The truth always seeps through, it always finds cracks, it always survives, even when they bury it under centuries of misunderstanding. And now it's here, in front of you, within you, waiting for you to decide, do I recognize it? Do I embrace it? Do I allow myself to live from it? Because recognizing it changes everything. Living from it transforms everything. You can no longer look at another person and see them as an enemy, because they are you in another form. You can no longer mistreat the earth, because it is your extended body. You can no longer wait for someone else to do the work, because you are the work. You are the miracle the world needs. And yes, that's scary. And yes, that's immense responsibility. But it's also liberation, because you no longer have to wait for permission. You no longer have to be perfect. You no longer have to earn your worth. You already have it. You always had it. You are made of the same substance as the stars, as the oceans, as everything you call divine, not as a concept, as reality, as presence, as God in you, as you, for you. Miracles revealed it 2,000 years ago, and they reveal it now, and they will reveal it always, because the code doesn't age, truth doesn't expire, love doesn't end, it only gets forgotten, and remembered, and forgotten, and remembered. You are at the point of remembering, and that remembering is the greatest miracle of all. Welcome home. Welcome to you. Welcome to what you always were. Everything is well. Everything was always well. And everything will always be well. Because you are. And in that being is all the divinity you ever sought outside. Breathe with that. Live from that. Share that. And the rest, all the rest will arrange itself. Because that's how the code works. That's how miracles work. That's how God works. Not from outside. From within. Always from within. Now you know. Now you remember. And nothing will be the same again. Not because the world changes, but because you have changed. And you are the world that needed to change. That is the secret. That is the code. That is the real nature of God. Not separation. Unity. Not judgment. Love. Not outside. Inside. Always inside. Always here. Always now. And you are the proof. You are the miracle. You are the answer to the question you were asking. Breathe. Feel. Remember. And when you're ready, open your eyes and see the world with the new eyes of one who has just awakened. Not for the first time, but once more. And each time is the first time. And each time is the miracle. Now go. Live. Love. From the code. From unity. From the light that you are.